Hi guys, so I just wanted to make a short video to show this foliage scattering system that I made in Godot 4.2 beta today. I know there are already made plugins for object scattering, but I wanted mine to use multi-mesh instance 3D to keep a low memory footprint and also support collisions. And I'm not sure the plugins that are currently available do both. And either way, I thought it would be a fun learning experience for me. So here we go. As you can see right here, I have this empty terrain with my creepy barn sitting in the middle. So I just add my foliage spawner to the scene, and I will move it to the center because I like to keep things tidy. So the way it works is you have to define foliage spawner data resources. A spawner is defined by a class that contains a reference to the mesh you want to instantiate, how many you want, the minimum and maximum values for both the x and z axes, minimum and maximum scale, whether the instance mesh needs a collider capsule, and if so, its height and radius, and finally an array of colliders that count as a crown. This is because for each instance I use a downward pointing raycast 3D to check if a collider is below the new instance and to only spawn on the colliders we want. That way we make sure that the foliage won't spawn where we don't want it, like inside buildings for example. And you can see an example right here. I use a collision shape 3D, a bit like an umbrella above my barn, to make sure there would be an empty area without trees around it. So if an instance is spawned above it, the raycast 3D hits my umbrella collision shape 3D and then keeps looking for a different spawn point until it finds one on the right ground collider. The other function of this raycast 3D is also define the Y position of the collision point. So this means that the spawner supports uneven ground, no problem. So let's add a first spawner for birch trees. Let's grab the mesh. I want 1000. I want them spread out across the whole terrain. Negative 250 to 250. I want them scaled from 0.75 to 1.25. I want them to have a collider because they are trees, 2-meter high, with a radius of 0.1, and I'm going to add ground as the name of a ground collider because it is the name of my ground node. The parameter used to be of type node 3D earlier today, but for some reason it wouldn't collide, so I decided to just check the name of the collider instead for now. I might revisit later. So okay, let's save that to a file. Data, let's call it birch trees. Save, and now let's save our scene and launch the game. And as you can see, our trees are there. So let's leave and let's add a second spawner for our pine trees. Let's grab the mesh, pine tree. I want 800. I want the same spread, same scale. Actually, 75 by 25. I also want a collider, radius 0.25 because I know that the pine trees have a bit of a wider trunk, and I want the same ground collider. Let's save that to a file. Let's call it pine trees. You'll notice underneath there's a checkbox that says cache override on scene load. Basically, when it's checked, it will spawn new transforms and collider for every instance and simply save them to a JSON file. When it's unchecked, the spawner simply loads the stored transforms for every spawner. Not only is this much faster on scene load, but it also ensures that the player sees the same scene every time, otherwise it would be weird. Okay, let's save our scene and load the game. And now we can see that both of our tree types are loaded. Okay, let's go back and add 2 more spawners for bushes. Let's grab our bush mesh. I want 700. Again, across the whole terrain. I want to keep the scale to 1. No collider because I want to be able to walk through. I'm going to add our crown collider. Save that to a file. Call it bushes. And add a 4th spawner. Grab a different bush mesh. I want 600. Again, same spread. Scale of 1, no collider. Save it to a file. Shrubs. Save our scene. And then we're going to load it once so that it creates the cache file. And as you can see, it took a little bit of time to load the whole thing. But all of our trees, all of our bushes are loaded correctly. Okay, so let's quit. Let's uncheck. So on the next load, it will simply load the transforms that are cached in our JSON file. So the loading time should be much faster, and the forest should be identical. And you can see the difference. The loading time was much faster. And the forest is identical. Also, as you can see, there is no trees around that whole safeguard area around the barn where I put my little umbrella collision shape 3D. So that's pretty much it. I might make improvements to it later, but for now it'll do. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.